for it. Go for it.
Hello, what's going on? It's your boy, the real Spazdor, the dumb idiot, the Doomfist main that's better than he thinks he is, but is also worse than he thinks he is. Hello. Today we're going to be talking the Season 3 Overwatch 2 patch notes, because there's a lot of stuff that's been changed that's going to be changing the game overall. We both got opinions. I'm going to be sharing mine. He's going to be sharing his wrong opinions, and it's going to be a great time. So... Little backstory on me and my Overwatch experience. I started playing Overwatch in the 2016 Halloween Terror event. I think maybe a little bit beforehand. I started soon after Ana had been added. But I started playing it then, and it very quickly became my most played game. I played on Xbox from when I started in 2016 up until about 2019, late 2018, early 2019. Been on the PC lobbies ever since. But I'm a Doomfist player, a Genji player, Ana, Kiriko, Diva I'm really good with. So, mostly all you need to know is I never want Genji nerfs, and I always want Doomfist buffs.
For me, I played in Overwatch 1 a little bit. I've been playing pretty much religiously since Overwatch 2 came out, and have developed my own opinions about the state of the game. I call myself a tank main, but I mostly play support.
This is true.
It is very true. I grinded up to Plat 1 in support, and then stopped playing ranked for the most part, because a little bit of extra I did play brought me back down to Plat 4, and then I had to grind back up to Plat 1. So, but yeah, so that's a little background into us. We're not the best players, but we're definitely not the worst.
I should probably So in Overwatch 2 Season 2, I was able to make it up to Plat 5 in support. I'm a Gold 1 tank right now. I believe that could be higher, and I'm not a DPS player. That's down in like Silver 4. However, back in Overwatch 1, when I would play... I did a strictly Doomfist open queue where I solely played Doomfist throughout my 10 placements, and I landed myself in Diamond, so I know I'm a decent Doomfist. But throughout the 6 years of Overwatch 1, I balanced in between like mid to high plat was where I landed. So.
I'd say we're probably like average, if not better than average. A little bit better than average. Not like...
Hey, there's nothing wrong with average.
Yeah. So this is your average gamer's perspective on these changes and everything, which that's a little bit of a backstory on us.
You want to get into this thing?
Yes, with the general hero updates, they reduced the maximum ult charge retained when swapping heroes from 30 to 25%.
Which, honestly, I'm not too upset about, because the fact that you got to keep any off of your ult when you were switching from character to character was nice.
They're getting rid of 5%.
It's buffing swapping is pretty much...
It's actually nerfing swapping.
Yeah, I looked at that wrong. I'm really smart.
Yeah.
You know I'm an average player.
It's fine. But yeah, so they're nerfing swapping, which I've went through the patch notes on my own and developed my own opinions and whatnot.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Pretty much across the board, they're actually changing ult charges.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
So
ult charge. Yeah. Go ahead.
This could, depending on which character you're playing, this could mean you swap characters and it takes you even longer to get your ult because their base ult charge is now up, or it's relatively no effect because with a few characters they're reducing how long it takes to get their ult, so it's relatively a net nothing.
It's a good change if you ask me. Long story short, I don't think anyone is going to be upset with this change.
No, I don't think anybody's going to be upset with this change. No,
I think it's healthier.
Yeah. They added a new tank role passive, where in open queue, where like you can have like 3 or 4 tanks on your team or whatnot like that, including mystery heroes. They're nerfing the amount of health that tanks have. I'm not going to go into specifics about it, but I feel like it's a good change because it like the open queue meta has just been 3 tanks, 2 supports, and I feel like this is going to change that.
good change because when you played any other game mode that wasn't roll queue, the tanks were just the hero to pick because of the fact that they were so overpowered, because the game revolves around the tank now much more than it did in Overwatch 1.
Yeah, but I feel like this will definitely change the meta for open queue and everything. So
I'm excited for that because open queue is fun. Open queue is a lot of fun.
Open queue is very fun. It's just not fun when you are forced to pick 3 tanks because they also have 3 tanks.
Forcing goats. It didn't work in Overwatch 1, and it's not going to work in Overwatch 2, no matter how fun you make the tanks.
Exactly.
Yeah, the next few tank changes are going to be the effects of this new tank passive within. Most of these changes are, but some of them are general changes.
So for D.Va, we have the mech base health and roll queue modes remains the same, but in non-roll queue modes reduced from 350 to 200. So that means if you're not in roll queue, you only have 200 base health. You still have the same amount of armor. They pretty much did this.
Health.
Yeah, they pretty much did this across all the tanks. So I'm just gonna skim through them real quick. So you have Doomfist.
What's up? 300 health now.
Yes, he is at 300 health now.
Which is a buff from DPS Doomfist. DPS Doomfist was only 250. That's a buff.
Net buff.
That's a net buff.
Junker Queen also goes down to 300, but in base game, in roll queue, they increased her health. I feel like this is a good buff for her survivability, specifically because of her passive ability to regain her own health by dealing damage.
Yeah, this isn't just a buff to her health, it's also a buff to her passive.
Yeah, so I think that's a good change.
Yeah,
I think I was saying that I think season 1 before they buffed her, like with her passive and everything. So
yeah,
it's glad to see that they're taking some other things into it.
With Orisa, she has had her non-roll queue health reduced down to 125, which is fair. I mean, her health remains the same. However, she did get a nerf. I believe this is a general nerf to everything, with her fall off range being reduced. So she's not going to be she's much more of a threat closer than she is being able to poke through choke point. Which I'm a fan of, because Orisa is a brawler character now, which means she has to be up in your face. So getting picked off from an Orisa that is finishing a fight while you're backing out and you're pretty much already out, and she just happens to chip some damage through, it's going to make that feel a lot better with being able to get out, as opposed to having Orisa be the one answer to pretty much everything.
Yeah, that's pretty much what Orisa became, is the answer to any situation.
Yeah. Oh, what's this? There's a Reinhardt you don't like? Play Orisa. What's that? Roadhog is being played? Play Orisa. Doomfist? Orisa. Like,
yeah. Orisa.
And honestly, this is a solid, like, 40% nerf, I believe, with how much less range she has. It should be around 40% being taken away from her, which is honestly a lot of space. And so Orisa's really going to have to be the up close and personal to control space, not to win a fight, but just to control space. She's gonna have to be close, instead of kind of holding back at a high ground or a choke point.
So she pretty much, with the buff that they gave her, increasing it to 25 meters, made her a close to mid-range. Now they're taking away that mid-range, making her really a close-up brawler, which I think is great idea.
It's good for the game. Maybe not great for Orisa, but it's good for the game.
Because honestly, I feel like in most situations you should be able to pick any character and do well, and just having one character that can do everything very well. Like, a few things she does extremely well, but like be able to do everything decently is kind of a little busted. Moving on to Ramatra. This is a change that I have been wanting ever since Ramatra came out.
Not the open queue nerfs, but the ultimate
not the open
nerf.
queue nerfs. Yeah. Well, Annihilation, they changed it. So one now doesn't last forever. It only lasts up to 20 seconds, which is amazing.
But you see, with this change, it's not the capping at 20 seconds that I'm really most intrigued by, because it's not a 20-second timer. How the ultimate works now is it's going to go down at normal speed when there's no one within your range, but when someone is in your range, it's only slowed down. The range that this ultimate can go from is anywhere from 4 seconds all the way to 20 seconds. However, with it being slowed, you're probably going to have someone within your radius of damage every single second of that to get it to be 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Because if someone steps out for even a half a second, that's already a fourth of your ult gone. Which I'm glad that it's a slow, and that 20 seconds would have to be if you're always damaging.
That is the optimal situation. Like, you press it right next to their tank and you don't leave their side. It lasts for a maximum of 20 seconds.
I believe in my Season 2 launching video, and I believe you had it in one of your videos, in your Ramatra tutorial video, both of us in the training range just pressed Q and stood still while the bots took damage. My timer went up to like 3 minutes. Yours went to, I don't remember how.
I think mine lasted for like because I swapped the tank to Roadhog since he has such a huge health pool. I literally just like pressed ult and walked away from my keyboard. I think I went to like make myself some hot chocolate or something. And then when I came back, that's when it ended, and I was gone for like 5 minutes.
And that was honestly Season 2. That was the average Ramatra experience, to be honest. And a lot of tanks are getting increased ult costs, while spoiler alert down the line, a lot of DPSs are having decreased ult costs, and I think this is pretty healthy very healthy, because over the last 2 seasons, the tanks have been so dominant where if you had a really bad tank, you might as well have lost the game. Kind of taking the tanks and bringing them down here, while taking the DPS and bringing them up here, is going to make the DPS feel like more of a clutch role, as opposed to the tanks feeling like they have to. If they're not there, you might as well you might as well just back out, which
I feel like they're trying to take some of the power from the tank, from their ultimate, and bringing it into the DPS role, which
is a good power transfer. It really is a good power transfer.
It really is, and especially with a lot of the ults that they did buff can be game changers, like instant team wipes and like instant flip of the switch to losing a fight to stomping the other team. I think it's great because with his ult coming up less often and it being less powerful with how much time he can have it up, I think it's going to help a lot. He's not going to be it's not going to be the press Q to win this team fight button anymore.
Yeah, because that's what it was. Is if you want to win the fight, press Q.
All right, so I think that's enough on Ramatra. We're going to move over to Reinhardt.
One of the Overwatch community's favorite things to say is, hey, if you want to make the game fun, buff Reinhardt.
So, Rocket Hammer, they reduced the knockback on it from 10 to 6. So pretty much if you didn't know, if you get smashed by Reinhardt's hammer, you get a little bit of knockback, right?
You get moved left or right depending on which way you swing his hammer.
Yeah, so they pretty much just reduced that. I feel like if
this is a big buff, actually, a very big buff.
I feel like if a Reinhardt is brawling somebody, with them moving less, he's going to be able to swing on them a little bit more accurately and keep them closer to him. Yeah, I think it's a good change. And then
charge got reduced.
Charge 8 to 7 seconds.
Once
you can
again,
charge in.
It's increasing his chase capability, which is good.
Yeah. I also think this is a great change because I forget whether it was beginning of Season 2 or like end of Season 1, they nerfed his charge damage. So I feel like with the nerf to the charge damage, but making it available more often, it's just gonna kind of equals out.
A lot of the tanks are super mobile, and if they're not super mobile, it's because they are they're much more of a wall than a jumping hero. But you see, Reinhardt is like a very good medium between those two types of tanks, where you're either a wall or you're on the move. And I'm really like how they reduce the cooldown because of the fact that it's going to allow him to be on the move a little bit more.
So
Fire Strike being increased from 90 to 100 back to where it was at in Overwatch 1. This I'm a little bit shaky on, because 100 damage is it's a lot of damage. All right, that's the same amount of damage Doomfist does in the maximum of his second tier of his ultimate, and this is on a cooldown with 2 charges on it already.
Yeah.
So
And it goes through barriers and everything.
I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of frustration this season with players who are trying to disengage and just happen to get clipped barely by a fire strike when they were like just below half. Don't get me wrong. I love playing Reinhardt.
But playing against a Reinhardt, it's probably going to feel horrible.
Yeah,
because this also, if you get paired with a Baptiste and he uses Amp Matrix and you fire strike through the Amp Matrix, you can one-shot somebody.
Yeah, that's back now.
It's a slippery slope, but I feel like people are going to like have to play around it. They're going to just have to get used to it.
Yeah, because the way I look at these patch notes is how does it feel for the character and how does it feel for everyone else, unless it's about Doomfist or Genji.
As Doomfist and Genji, you don't care how everybody else.
I don't bring back the first 2 weeks of season 2 Doomfist now, please. Earth Shatter.
Earth Shatter. So I think this is a net nerf.
But it's just changing how the ultimate acts really.
But the knockdown duration is increased from 2.5 to 2.75 seconds. So it's a fourth of a second. It's a fourth of a second. I feel like a lot of people aren't going to notice this. It's going to...
The thing that you don't notice immediately, but after playing against Orion enough, you're going to be like, I'm down so long, there's no counterplay to it. And the reason I'm that this worries me, once again, Doomfist player, I know all about stun durations being buffed and nerfed from playing that guy. And if 1.5 seconds of stun already feels like too much, then 2.75 is gonna feel like a year.
I feel like the slight increase. I feel like a lot of people in the lower tiers probably aren't going to notice it a lot. But a lot of people who play a lot and have that muscle memory or that like internal clock running, being like, okay, yeah, I'll have enough time to do something.
Yeah.
But it's going to throw that off.
Most of the shatters that I've followed up, they're down on the ground long enough to where you can pump enough damage in to where even when they're about to stand up, Reinhardt has walked over to them to slam his hammer into them after, Sojourn has pumped some Sojourn or Genji or May have pumped some damage into them to where they're all nice and weak. And adding a longer stun to it it's gonna buff bad players, which is kind of a shitty thing to say, but like it's gonna buff bad players because it gives you extra time. The time it had already was enough for you to get a team wipe.
Yeah. Right. But yeah. So also ult cost increased by 7%. So you're gonna have your ult up less.
You're gonna have it less, but Ryan builds it really fast. It's not too big a deal.
It's barely going to be noticeable.
Moving on to Roadhog. Roadhog, he got the general nerf with all the open queue tanks. However, they increased the duration of his ultimate from 6 seconds to 8 seconds, which honestly I'm completely fine with because of the fact that now that you can use Roadhog's abilities while he's ulting, those abilities take up time in the ultimate timer. So say, I'm not around too many people, I want to hook that Ana that's in the back line right there. That hook, those 2 seconds are going to be for that the ability cast time, and then you're gonna have the uptime that the devs actually wanted, which is the 6 seconds. It's a lot different of an ult since it switched from Overwatch 1 where it's just a channeling ult, and now you can use abilities in it. So this is good change for Roadhog, especially after all the changes he received in that late season patch last season.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like with the nerf to the one shot, they just transferred some of that power into his ult, especially since
which is fine because his ult felt weak anyway. It really did.
Yeah, and the ult cost increased by 8%.
Yeah,
whatever. That's like an extra vape.
Yeah, that's not a big deal. You heal
it's not
once
that
and
big
you
of a
got
deal.
it back.
Yeah. But honestly, ultimate cost increase 7%. Honestly,
I think they
the only thing
I think they should have
because
had
of
a
for
little
the
bit
cost,
less.
yeah. Since it's an across the board kind of thing with all the tanks, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of just it's kind of just like what we went over earlier, the power shift from the ultimates and tanks in general over to more DPS. I'm okay with it because the rest of the tanks are getting the treatment. It's not like they soloed him out, but
Yeah.
Sigma is very balanced. That's the only change that they needed to do because that's the only change he needed to fit in with the rest of this.
Yeah.
So, going on to Winston, barrier protector, the thing we were just talking about.
We were just talking about this.
Health reduced from 700 to 650.
Which
What do you think about this change? What are your opinions on this change?
I mean, it's gonna bring Winston down a little bit in dive meta. It's not gonna bring him down a whole bunch, but I have a feeling they're either going to revert this change or they're going to decrease the barrier cooldown after this, depending on how this performs. Because Winston was already pretty alright. He wasn't the best tank, but he definitely wasn't the worst tank. Because Winston counters a lot of the brawlers in the game, like Orisa and Doomfist. Well, sort of Doomfist, but sort of Doomfist. Because what he just jumps right over where they are and goes to your back line. Unless you got some heavy damage in the back line, generally that barrier was able to protect you long enough for you to tickle someone down. But with the damage, with the health it has being reduced, you're gonna have to be a little bit more picky, choosy with what characters you want to dive onto, because you never dive onto a Reaper, but sometimes you can get away with diving onto a Soldier 76.
Like a Soldier, a Zenyatta is a very easy pick.
Yeah, but
like any support except like a Mercy, but Mercy changes.
Because generally, if you're diving a Soldier, yeah, he has his health regen from his ability, but you can push him out of that because you're a big tank. Yeah, it's just gonna make Winston players have to be a little bit more careful with when they're diving.
Now, big changes to Wrecking Ball,
which I am all here for, actually, because Wrecking Ball has been underperforming for a while. The devs didn't really want to change him too much from 1 to 2, and they really didn't, because he's pretty decent at doing the whole one tank job.
The thing is, with a Wrecking Ball, if you have a bad Wrecking Ball, he barely does anything. He's more of a minor nuisance. If you have a good Wrecking Ball, he will destroy your world.
Yeah.
Now they're kind of bringing that skill ceiling down a little bit.
Yeah. Which I'm all right with, because that makes the general player base being able to play him a little bit easier.
Having a character that more people can play is not a bad thing. So base health and roll Q modes reduced from 600 to 450, but they gave him shields.
This is the biggest buff. In my opinion, the shield health is the biggest buff he's ever received.
Yes. Shield health is underrated as fuck.
Yeah, because it's the same amount of health as normal health, except it regenerates. And with a character that's generally off on his own and having to scout for health packs when he's low because his healers are at spawn or healing the DPS at the time, having a little bit of your own health that is always going to be there after you've been out of combat for a little bit is so good for him.
Oh, yeah.
So good for him.
Other than that, I haven't really played ball. I'm not a ball player. From what I've seen of other people playing him, you go in, you try to get a pick. If it doesn't work out, you run away, grab a health pack, go to your healers, get back up to full, and then try it again, right? So this pretty much allows you to have more escape options, because now you have a guaranteed little bit of health from your total that is always going to come back whether you get a health pack or not.
And they're also the pile driver buff from being reduced from 10 to 8 seconds is going to increase how often he can engage, because a lot of times 8 seconds is really all you need to go in, try. If it doesn't work out, get heals, and then go right back. Because that's like you said, that's his play style, right? And pile driver is his biggest setup ability. Because while you can set up by just hitting people when you're flaming and you're going really fast, the pile driver boosts everyone up to where you can have your DPS take a shot at them,
his
something
pile
like
driver is
that.
pretty much his burst damage,
So
right?
yeah, this is going to increase his damage. It's going to increase his setup potential, and it's going to increase how active he is, which are
Yeah.
three very good things.
But arming time reduced from 1.5 to 1 second, which means you can pile drive into minefield, and they're probably going to get stuck in it.
And honestly, that's not bad, because a lot of times, because I have played a little ball. I do enjoy playing ball. A lot of times you would go in, you would press your ultimate first. They would lay on the ground, and you would pile drive. But by the time the enemy team hits the ground from your pile drive, they have that half a second to move out of the way before they arm.
Yeah.
And so
But now
this makes his ult much more lethal, which is very good for him, because honestly, I think I remember maybe one play from a ball that completely swept the team within my last 2 seasons of playing the game. One time.
Usually, so really good ball changes. If you're a ball player yourself, you're just gonna have a better time playing ball.
Yeah, it's gonna be more fun, which is what they want.
Which is what, yeah. I don't care about skill or whatnot. At the end of the day, if the general player base is having fun, that's all that matters.
Zarya's just got the general ultimate increase. There really isn't too much to say on Zarya, but that is
She got the non-roll Q health reduction and the general ultimate cost increase.
And that brings an end to the tanks. I don't think we really need to talk much more about Zarya. It's just the general.
Zarya's in a good place right now.
Yeah, she down to damage.
Down to damage. All right.
Cassidy.
So starting off with Cassidy.
Cassidy had his primary fire fall off range increased from 20 to 25 meters, which makes him much more of a threat as a hit scan than he was before, because he can be able to pop you from farther away. And these range buffs and nerfs mean a lot more to DPS than it did to Orisa, we talked about how Orisa has to be much more of a brawler because that's her playstyle. Just the opposite for the hit scan characters, because they need the range, because if you can aim well and you can murk someone out of the sky, you could feel some frustration playing Cassidy in the first 2 seasons where it's like, they aren't even that far away. Why is my damage being dropped off? So this is good change for him, in my opinion.
Yeah. So the question that I have is the fall off range, as far as I can tell, the start of it has been buffed to 25 meters. I'm wondering if they also buffed the end range, like when the damage stops falling off.
If they didn't mention it, it's more than likely staying the same. I think increasing the range that his maximum damage can be in effect is fine, but increasing the overall range, I feel like could get out of hand, because that fall off range scales to how far between the max damage and where there's no damage. That's a scaling. So if you were to buff that that range, just for the max range in general, that means when you're getting shot at, let's say the max range, because I don't know right now, is 40, right?
Yeah.
If you're being shot at 40 before, it's like 1 damage. If you're gonna get shot at 40 when it's at 40 meters, when the maximum range, say, gets buffed to 45, that's gonna be 10 or 15 damage hitting you, which sometimes is what you're at when you're getting trying to get out, and they're just doing some quick as you get away shots at you.
And then also his combat roll, movement is no longer blocked by player.
This is not,
pretty much gives him a Dark Souls roll. You just have a like.
This isn't the combat roll nerf buff I wanted to see, though.
What kind of buff did you want to see?
I wanted to see a nerf to Cassidy's roll, because when Cassidy is rolling in the duration, the cast duration of the roll, he has 50% damage reduction.
Mm-hmm.
So that means if Tracer sticks a pulse bomb on him and he rolls, he just lives right through that, and that is an ultimate ability being negated by a fucking cooldown.
That's actually happened to me.
There are some abilities that are supposed to counter ultimates. Cassidy's roll is more of movement/reload, as opposed to giving it resistance to big ultimates like that, or it just. I know it's because if he didn't have that, it would he'd be so much easier to take out. But I wanted to see a reduction of damage. I wanted to see the damage reduction decreased is what I wanted to see. But I'm not upset with the buff that he got here, because it's frustrating to when it's like, oh, I'm gonna roll this way. Oh, what's that? There's a skinny Widowmaker in my way. Like, okay.
Yeah, it just makes it's pretty much a quality of life change,
Yeah,
honestly.
that's all it is.
All right. Moving on to Junkrat.
You got this.
All right, so concussion maximum damage reduced from 120 to 100. If you don't know what the concussion mine is, it is his not alt fire, but his ability. He throws it out. It's a mine. He can detonate it when he wants. They just brought the damage down from 120 to 100, so the range at which you can he can still one shot squishies with his primary to concussion combo, but now you have to be more accurate. The range at which you can do it is now less. I feel like this is
it's fine.
I feel like they're trying to bring characters away from one shot potential.
Yeah, which is great, because that's what frustrates people the most in this game, really.
I know it frustrates me, so I'm glad to see this change. As a person who plays Junkrat, I'm a little sad, but I'm usually pretty accurate with my concussion mine. So altogether, taking away a little bit of the range on a one shot. It's still there, but it's a little bit of a tighter skill. So good change. I like
the next three heroes, which would be Mei, Pharah, and Reaper, are just getting the general DPS buff to reducing their ultimate. However, Reaper's ultimate is being reduced by 8%, while Pharah's and Mei's are being reduced by 5%. So Reaper is going to have his ult up much more now.
Yes, much more. So be on the lookout for them dirty Reapers, because is that a fucking ultimate?
The soldier changes I'm very happy with.
This is I'm not sure if they say it in the actual developer comments. Does not look like it, but this is pretty much just a quality of life change for Soldier 76.
I don't see it as just a quality of life change, though. So what this does is the optimal way to play Soldier is to hold down your primary fire until your recoil maxes out. Stop. It's shoot, stop, shoot, stop, shoot, stop, up to that bullet amount. And fours can be slightly hard to track if you don't have the muscle memory. But what this does is it brings him a little bit farther up to the skill ceiling of some of the other hit scan characters. I think mostly Sojourn. Whenever I'm comparing a hit scan to anyone, despite her not being the most hit scan, but she
she has a projectile speed of 160.
It gives him what this does is it gives him more control over his damage, and so he's going to be able to land more damage. And the recoil being reduced by a huge 12%, it's going to make him feel like a much more consistent shooter.
Good change. I think it brings him a little bit more in line with like the characters who don't have recoil control. Like, you still have to control your recoil. Now you just have to do it a little bit less.
Yeah. So
good change. Next,
Sombra getting a damage buff.
Yes. From 7 to 7.5.
But that is per projectile.
Yeah, per projectile. And she has an SMG that shoots out a lot of projectiles.
So she has, I believe, 60 in her mag. So it used to be, a max of, I believe, 420 damage out of one clip. I think it might be a bit less, but I think it's 60 because it fires really fast. But a max of 420. With that being brought up to 7.5 in a 60 round clip, it's a solid 30 damage.
So now I can, especially paired with the whole health pack hack duration buff, a 15-second buff, which is not a small buff. That's a pretty big buff. Like 15 seconds is a lot.
Yeah, no, that's really big. And honestly, this is a bigger defensive. It's a bigger defensive buff than it is an offensive buff because, as Sombra, you're generally in the back line trying to take out the supports, and before you do that, you'll generally hack a health pack and throw down your translocator. And
Yeah.
average fight maybe 20 seconds. So you go in, you get the pick on the support, maybe one other pick while the rest of your team cleans up. You teleport out, and you still got 25 seconds of hack left on that health pack. And so by the time the team gets back, right, it's still probably going to be hacked. And so if you're going to be pushing them, back, I'm thinking more push game mode here. I'm thinking the health pack at a close spawn from Colosseo.
Yeah.
If they're coming back out after that, that health pack isn't available to them. So it's a bigger defensive buff than it is an offensive buff, if you ask me.
Like, puts her more in the line of the I'm going to go behind you and take you out, the silent assassin kind of thing.
Which is her playstyle.
So this is just a buff to her general playstyle and feel. And I'm all for it as long as they don't bring back the original hacked buff. So if right now, as it sits,
it's fine.
As it stands,
it's completely fine. It's not
it's
a
a
bad
completely
change.
fine change. Perfectly acceptable.
Yeah. Symmetra.
Symmetra just got the ultimate cost increase by 10%, actually.
10%, that's bigger than some of the other increases, but that's fine because Symmetra builds her ult really fast, especially if she's shredding through with her primary fire. That's not even adding on her turret damage, which is passive.
Yeah. And on top of that, Symmetra has a very defensive ult.
Yeah.
Or an offensive character. But it plays into her kit very well because if you throw up your fucking wall and then throw turrets behind it, your turrets can shoot through the wall.
Yeah.
But the enemy can't shoot your turrets. So I feel like having it be up less often, as somebody who's decent at Sombra because of my fucking ridiculous tracking.
Symmetra.
Yeah, whatever. Symmetra. As somebody who's kind of ridiculous at Symmetra because of my tracking, not so much positioning or game sense, just being able to hold crosshair on somebody while they're moving. This is kind of like obviously a nerf.
Torbjorn. Turret base health reduced from 250 to 225. I'm all for this change.
Yes,
It's
I
a
feel
nerf,
like,
but I felt like his turret having 250, that's more health than most squishies have. And while it is stationary, if you got the entire team around it, there's been a lot of times where I get the turret within 25 health, and then I get pushed by their tank or their DPS or the Torbjorn's there pounding his hammer onto it. So,
yeah,
bringing it down is healthy.
They're nerfing the strongest character in the game, but at least at low ranks. So I feel like this is going to be something that a lot of people from like gold and below can feel, but like for me, playing in plat games, the turret's never really an issue. We're usually very good about like, oh hey, there's a turret, just fucking we have like 3 people burst it down real quick. It's not really an issue. And especially in like up the tiers like Diamond, Masters, Grandmasters, top 500. I'm pretty sure the turret almost has nothing to do with the Torbjorn. It's the Torbjorn player's skill himself.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like this is a nerf to the lower range, making him a little bit more easier to deal with at low rank, but it's not really going to be noticeable at high rank.
Oh, yeah, I can agree with that.
Oh,
Widowmaker nerfs, which is something that people have been wanting. Her health got reduced down to 175 again, which I'm all right with because Widowmaker should be much more of a glass cannon, and this definitely definitely helps with that. They shouldn't take, in my opinion, because we have differing opinions on the one shots. I don't think they should take her one shot away because that would take away from her character personality. But this is a good change without touching her damage.
My opinion on Widowmaker is I feel I feel differently about her now that I've actually like sat down and rationally thought about it. I feel like they shouldn't take away the one shot because you also have Hanzo who has a one shot. You have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of characters who can one shot, right? Uh so getting rid of all one shots probably not feasible because that's just going to be a massive nerf across the board,
Yeah.
right? I feel like you should give her counterplay, give players counterplay to
Like a
more
sniper
noticeable
flare.
counterplay. Yeah, like sniper flare, a red dot where she's aiming. Like people are like, oh yeah, there's a huge red line showing
Oh,
where she
that
is, and
actually,
it's like,
yeah,
oh, but that only happens if she shoots you and
yeah.
misses.
Um,
It's fine as
all
it is.
right.
Anna, you
This
can
is
go.
actually, yeah, because through playing through season 2, I had actually there was a clip that I remember telling you about, that I was like, 4 seconds feels like such a long time, and it does not a lot of. I mean, there's Kiriko counterplay, but that's one character.
Yeah.
But like 4 felt too long, 3 felt too short, so they really met it right in the middle at 3.5, which is where I think it needs to be. Yeah.
If you anti somebody and Zen ult, they are pretty much not gonna get healed for the entire duration of his ult.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much what it was.
Yeah, and we looked at it, and then we were just like, I think that's the same conversation that you were just like, I think they need to 0.5.
Yeah.
Because there's a little bit more counterplay to that. Like
Yeah,
now,
when I was watching through that specific clip that we're talking about, I did get clipped by a Junker Queen ult instead of a Onanade. But even if it was, if it was 4 seconds, I'm still leaving with like 30 health.
yeah,
As opposed to if it was 3.5, I'm at 120.
yeah. So
It's a little bit different, but this is good for Ana. It's not. It's still a net nerf. However, still it's good. It's good change.
if I get antied, I walk away. I'm just like, I'm not gonna sit there and not be able to get healed and die. I'm just walking away. If I can have a character who can, and then but then you're out of the fight for 4 seconds, unless a fucking Kiriko pops out of fucking nowhere right next to you and throws down a Suzu,
Yeah.
So it's just like, I feel like being out of the fight for 4 seconds versus 3.5 seconds, perfectly fine. Now,
Brigitte, you want to take this one? You play more Brig than I do.
yeah, I'll take this one. So repair pack, healing over time reduced from 55 to 50. So per second, you're only getting 50 health versus 55. I think this is fine because of the next buff, where applying a hair repair pack now instantly heals 25 health on impact.
So that's max. This is a net buff of 20 healing, is what it is.
Yes, it is huge. I think early on when we started playing in season 1 of Overwatch 2, you were playing Genji, and I shot all 3 of my health packs into you while you were at low health, and the enemy team still killed you.
Yeah.
Because it just didn't go off fast enough.
Yeah.
Now that if I spam all 3 of my health packs into somebody, they're getting at least 75 health instantaneously. That's huge.
All the supports were in a good spot and playable, except Brig was the only support that was a little bit niche with when you could play her. With just the repair pack, not even getting into her rally buff yet, but just the repair pack change is huge because it allows her instant healing, kind of like how Baptiste has his instant heal ability, or Ana can throw her nade at you. Kiriko has her Suzu she can throw at you. It finally gives Brig something where it's like, oh wow, I need to heal someone now and there's no one around to use my flail on. Here, have 25 health and then a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's finally an ability to be like, oh, you need healing now? There you go.
I feel like this just brings her up a lot more into a playable burst healer status.
Yeah, and the ultimate cost being reduced is great for her as well. That's just, you're going to have rally a little bit more often, which rallies are one of the best support ults, if you ask me.
Being able to give your team temporary HP, the green bar.
Is it temporary HP or is it armor now?
Going into Overwatch 2, they changed it to be just temporary HP. It's no longer
Okay,
armor.
then I take back my statement about it being the best support ultimate. That was with me thinking it was armor.
Yeah. If you are playing a very brawly team comp, it is a good ultimate. Is it great? No, but it is good. All right, but yeah, altogether, I think Brig is in a playable.
She's much more playable
she is no longer just an. If I see a, it used to be if I see a Brig, I'm immediately thinking like this guy either has to be the best fucking Brig in the world or
I'm going to bully them all game.
Yeah, whereas now it's like, okay, cool. Because last patch we also saw her get a buff to her shield capacity, so now she's at 300 shields. Plus this, I think she's getting
in a good
better.
Spot now. She's
in a good spot. Yeah.
But yeah, good Brig buff. Lucio, ultimate cost reduced. It's not too much to really talk about there, to be honest. He's fine. However, Mercy.
Huge Mercy change.
Oh my god, am I so happy. I don't give a fuck about Mercy players. Okay. Yeah, except for Flightless Kiwi, Anguish K. You were my Mercy main back in my Mercy pocket for my Pharah in 2017. I love you.
This is a huge change to not only how effective she is, but also her playstyle. So you have Guardian Angel. The cooldown is increased from 1.5 to 2.5, so they put an extra second on that. Holding backwards directional input and canceling the ability with the jump. So pretty much you're flying to somebody, you decide it's a bad idea, you decide to go backwards. Now moves 20% slower, so you can't just go back to where you were at the same speed you were trying to go there. Caduceus Staff, healing per second reduced from 55 to 45, but healing is increased by 50% for allies under half health. And then they removed the normal support regeneration passive, but gave her own special passive.
They didn't remove the support passive. They removed Mercy's passive, which she's had since Overwatch 1, which is the ability to regen. What happened is the support passive and her passive actually stacked onto each other, and so she was regenning much faster than any of the other supports.
Anyways, they gave her a new passive.
Yeah.
Mercy heals herself for 25% of healing done with Caduceus Staff,
which I'm fine with, because that means you're not going to be regenning all the time. You only when you're actively in a fight.
If you are damage boosting somebody like a Pharah or an Echo or something like that, just being their pocket, it is going to be easier to just take you down. But at the same time, it makes you want to heal people more, so you have more sustain.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is going to be a net, like obviously it's a net nerf.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is going to also nerf the damage boost. Not directly, like numbers wise, but how often you use it, because you need to heal people for your own sustain.
I enjoy the fact that her movement is getting nerfed, because Mercy movement, especially not just the skill ceiling for Mercy's movement, was absolutely busted. So if you could move around with Mercy, you're not gonna die. You're never gonna die unless a Widowmaker shoots you in the head.
Exactly. Like I think I kill about 5% of the Mercies that I try to kill.
Yeah.
Like if I'm actively trying to aim at and kill a Mercy, even if I'm hitting my shots, most of the time because of their movement, I am missing shots, or they just move to an area where I can no longer.
Yeah.
With that ability having such a huge change, like a 1 second addition to a 1.5 second ability, up to 2.5 seconds, holy shit, is that huge?
Yeah, it's huge.
It's a huge fucking change, YouTube. It's been a video that's been going around, but the devs were showing what the Mercy changes can allow her to do, and it showed her in her ultimate, Valkyrie, when you have the splitting beams, she still gets all that healing. So if she's healing her teammates in Valk, she can tank Bob entirely.
That's also pretty cool.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, but Mercy general nerf, I'm okay with it, because you know how I feel about Mercy. So on to Moira.
Yeah, Moira has coalescence
cost.
Reduce cost by
That's
5%.
fine. That's general across the board. But Zen, the last hero, ammo increased from 20 to 25. You're a Zen player. Please tell me your thoughts.
I love this change. I cannot tell you how many times I get caught out reloading and I just die because of it. Because he has a pretty long reload animation. It's like 2 seconds.
It takes 2 hands to clap.
Exactly. So just decreasing the times that you need to reload and get caught out, so much better. Also, your charge up ability takes 5 ammo.
Yeah,
you can
that
now
takes
do
you
it
5 barrages
5
now.
times. Yeah, you can now do it 5 times before you have to reload.
Yeah. But that is the end of the patch notes. A lot of good thoughts, a lot of good changes. It's changing a lot generally in the game. So the first week or so, when you're playing, you're gonna have to feel out the game a little bit to feel the changes and then adjust your play style to them. But these changes are for the better. The video that you guys watched yesterday. Yo, head ass, it wasn't yesterday, it was a week ago. It took forever to edit this one. And this is the editor apologizing to y'all about being late on it. Please don't hate me. Which is my Season 3 saving Overwatch 2. That, a lot of these changes are a big key factor in that. I didn't go over it in that video because that's why you're watching this, but a lot of these changes, and the other changes I talked about yesterday, are making Overwatch so much better of a game. And it's just it's nice to see the devs caring. It really is. Wow, yeah, there's a lot of things in Season 4 I'm already looking forward to, which just comes with dev communication.
Exactly. So it's just like, not only because they are communicating are people hyped for the changes and looking forward to Season 3 now that it's here. They're also looking forward to the next season.
Yeah.
Which, with the longevity of a game in mind, that's what you want. You want somebody to be excited about playing your game in the future, not just now.
Yeah.
Season 3 has definitely breathed a fresh breath of life into this game, and I'm excited to play it.
But yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching both on Dorian's channel and on mine. We appreciate you being here. Be sure to leave a like, leave a subscribe, leave a comment if you're feeling frisky enough. All right.
Tell us dislike if you hated our opinions.
Yeah.
Let us know.
But all of our links should be in the description for our Twitch, any of our other socials. So feel free to check those out. I have a TikTok that I post a whole bunch of small clips onto. If you're down for just small little bits of consummation of content.
I also have a TikTok that I don't post to.
Yeah, but yeah, you can check all that stuff out.